Hello guys. So today we are going to cover NLP concepts which are utterance, intent, domain and entity. So they are part of natural language processing, which is termed as NLP in short, a field of artificial intelligence focused on interaction between the computers and human language. We all are using it. It enables machine to understand, interpret and respond to human language in a meaningful way, just like we are talking with other humans. Some of the examples that we are using, and it contains chatbots, voice assistants, sentiment analysis, language translation, etc. And the definition of utterance. So these are parts and the components which are being used in natural language processing. So a piece of spoken or a written language input by the user is called utterance. So let's take a real world example. Let's say user says, "What's the weather like today?" So this entire sentence is considered as utterance. So it's like an input that we enter in any of the chatbot or any of the GPT applications. Next is intent. So the definition says the purpose or goal behind the user's utterance. Now, natural language processing use intent to figure out what is the goal behind the user's utterance. That means the input that the user has entered. So utterance in our case, what's the weather like today, and the intent that the user is expecting, and what is the intention behind asking the question for any of the problem or any of the question that is entered in the chat box or any other application which supports this natural language processing. So here the intent is getting the weather, so it says get weather. So it means the user has entered to get the information of weather, what's today. So user wants to know the current weather. Next is entity. So this is again the definition which says a specific pieces of information that provide details needed to fulfill an intent. So after the intent is figured out from the utterance, then the entities are also figured out by the natural language processing mechanism. So here the utterance is what's the weather like in New York today. So the entities are the location New York and the date today. So the user wants to know the weather in New York and today. Domain. Now this is also important for natural language processing to figure out the context behind which the user has entered the question around the respective utterance and the intent and the entities that are figured out. So it will try to figure out the domain here, a specific area of knowledge or topic category that the AI system is designed to handle. So let's continue with the real world example of that weather domain. It has figured out that the user wants to know the weather, so the domain would be weather. So it handles intents like checking the weather, forecast and climate conditions. Another example is travel domain, which will handle the intents like booking flights, checking status, etc. So as we have understood the different components, now we will see how they work together. So utterance, as we understood, is the user input, which could be spoken or written. Intent, the purpose behind the input. The entity, the specific details that is figured out from the input. And the domain, which would be helpful to understand the context by the NLP systems. So which is the area of knowledge or topic category. So the example flow here would be one user is entering book a flight to a New York on Friday. So this is new example where the utterance is book a flight to New York in Friday. Second, the intent figured out from here is book flight. The entities which are associated with respective utterance is New York, date is Friday, and the domain that is understood here is travel domain. Some of the real world examples and applications that we usually use and develop with AI using NLP are chatbots and virtual assistants. So it uses NLP to understand user input and provide relevant responses. Example that we already have in our mobiles and we use frequently are Alexa, Google Assistant, and ChatGPT. Second example is customer support automation that is again powered by NLP. They are bots which handle the common user queries, reducing human intervention, which we have seen in real world example in like delivery platforms, food delivery platforms example. The automated customer service chatbots are again the good example of a real world application that uses natural language processing. So here the summary is NLP enables machine to understand human language. Utterance is the user input, which is part of the information that is entered by the user. Intent is the purpose behind the input. The entity is the specific details of the input, and the domain, which is the area of knowledge or the category of the topic. And these components work together to create intelligent systems capable of human like interaction. Thank you for watching this video. Hope you are liking it.